So it sounds to me that the Trump campaign sort of winged it successfully.
They were successful, no question about that. They kicked our ass, so I can't downgrade it too much because they did. He was able to tap into a feeling with the electorate. I think that was that he did a better job than we did in the way in which he approached it, and that is you have to give him credit for that. He was able to beat 16 of what I would argue is the most qualified Republican field that has ever run for president. That's not to take away from any other group of people that have run. There's been very qualified people, but this was just, we had 16 very high quality candidates, governors, senators, cabinet officials. I mean, it was a group that I think we took a lot of pride as Republicans. Said, wow, we're putting forth this field that is going to whoever emerges from it will be the best candidate we can have. And I guess some might argue whether that's the case or not. I would argue it's not the case, that we did not put forth the one who has the best chance to beat Hillary Clinton. In fact, I would suggest that in Donald Trump, we may have found the one candidate that may not be able to beat Hillary Clinton, and that's a real shame.
You know, and also, let me just throw this out to you, and that is that you have a candidate who basically, again, I think winged it and didn't have the data that everybody else had and Cruz had, yet was very, very successful. And you also had 15 other candidates who were relying upon data. So
well, I don't know about 15. I mean, one of the challenges that exists on the Republican side, Steve, this is another important point, and I think it is an important point that sort of reiterates what I was talking about earlier in terms of what we're going to have coming out of 2016. And that is there are not a lot of firms on our side that do what I do. Now, we still have our legacy polling operation, but really for the most part, WPA Research has become a data science company. We have 6 full-time data scientists. That's more than anybody else on the Republican side has. PhDs in everything from applied mathematics to statistics to everything in between. And our work is motivated by a desire to be the best in the area of data science. And so, in fact, I probably lose a lot of business out of it. So potential clients call and say, hey, I want to do a poll. I'm like, I don't want to do a poll for you. Why don't we build out a predictive model of people who are going to vote for you? So instead of me telling you you're 30% or 35% or whatever the case may be, I give you a list of 27,316 undecideds and what they care about so you can go communicate with them. Like, well, I just want a poll. So, then they hang up and call somebody else. Sure. So it is, I think the challenge that exists on our side is we don't have many firms that do this. You have Bush that used Target Point. Alex Lunder, who was Romney's director of analytics, very talented guy, very good firm. You had Rubio that used Optimus, that had a very talented data science firm. And then that's really it. That's really all that exists. I mean, Scott Walker had Mark Stevenson, who's a data scientist, Red Oak Strategic, very talented guy. He's got a 2 or 3 person operation, very talented, very smart. But that's all that exists on our side of those maybe 4 or 5 firms. That's one example. On the Democratic side, coming out of the Obama election, 16 data science analytics firms were started. I mean, think about that. We have 4 to 5 on our side, 16. So on the Democratic side, when you go meet with the DCCC or the Democrat Senatorial Committee, their question is always, who's your pollster, who's your media consultant, who's your general consultant, and then who's doing your analytics. On our side, it's kind of seen as an expensive luxury that you can do or not do, and it's kind of like, maybe you need it, maybe you don't. I spend as much time trying to convince people as to why they should use it as I do telling them why we're the right ones to do it. And I think that's a shame. It should be as standard as a campaign as a media consultant is.
It's funny. I feel for you because that's where I've been in terms of technology, video technology in particular, in terms of the power of it and the various things that election campaigns, et cetera, and so many other industries, can do with it. So, obviously, I think everybody agrees that Obama won in 2008 and 2012 in part because of the data that you're describing. And from what I gather from you, we're not really quite sure exactly whether or not at this point in time, whether the Trump campaign really has anything in place. But they do. The Republican Party. I mean, don't they? I mean, I've heard, on TV that they're going to be relying upon the Republican Party data.
Well, I think they are, but the challenge that exists there is I can't talk about this on editorializing a little bit about what would have taken place. If Ted Cruz had been the nominee, we would have built out models that were not just about Ted Cruz and turning out voters to elect him as president, but also finding, I'll move it out of Louisiana. Let's use New Hampshire as an example. New Hampshire should be a swing state, should be a state Republicans can win. We've got Kelly Ayotte, United States Senator, who's up for re-election. So a Republican top to take an approach there should be to build out models to find voters who are going to turn out and vote for Ted Cruz for president, if he were the nominee, and vote for Kelly Ayotte for the United States Senate. The challenge with one entity that is a party organization building out models is they're at best presidential in terms of their draw, and they are at worst, and this is still solid, it's still valuable, but generic Republican in their draw. And what the challenge there is there are going to be voters who are motivated by Ted Cruz, voters who are motivated by a Donald Trump, and voters who are going to be motivated by a Kelly Ayotte. And a solid data operation is going to find the nexus of those and be able to find different motivational touch points that creates the turnout for all of them. Now, you can do that when you have the power of a presidential campaign behind you. We would have, had we won, my plan called for 100 data scientists, same thing Hillary Clinton has. If the Trump campaign has, I've read 8, I've read 10, there just isn't the power to do that. And the RNC and data trust and the valuable, I give Reince Priebus credit. He has done his best to build out this operation, but you can't do that when you're also trying to build out a field operation and you're trying to make sure that the Senate gets reelected because the presidential campaign is checked out on that, and you're trying to make sure that you maintain the House. There's just too much that goes into what the RNC is trying to do for them to do it out of one building there on First Street, southeast of Washington, D.C.